Nope, about 400 more kids. That's it. And so if we look at those 1,300 houses and we just say that a third of those houses have only one child each, we're looking at over 400 new kids in the next 2 years. And that's their entire 10-year high projected growth rate. And so I'm hoping that we can kind of start chatting with them a little bit more, you know, seeing what our growth is, because these schools are going to fill up very quickly, I think. You know, they aren't seeing the growth just because of the amount of projects that got postponed within the last year. I think that next school year, they're going to start to see some more increases that we might not be ready for. And so that was one. I sent that on over to you guys. Nothing else too much there, but it's mostly saying, you know, I really hope that Coughlin, everybody else can kind of understand that we've got to have a half a year. We've got to see a little bit of this development happen. You know, June 2024, I hope they can come back. You know, go for it again, or else we table it till then. But right now, it seems the growth within our schools, within our streets, our sewer pipes, it has to be looked at first. Even with our sewer line survey that's coming in spring 2024 right now. You know, getting that finished before we're adding on would be very beneficial. Thank you again very much, you guys, for everything. We're on to our last couple meetings, possibly. However, tonight I'm out to support the Lady Red Raider volleyball team over at Jonathan Alder, so I'll catch the rest of you guys on the video. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Thank you. And I know we do have quite a few projects planned, but they don't just happen overnight. So these are things that are going to be planned down the road, and money's going to be appropriated for them as they come up. So we've already okayed the lot of money, but now it has to be appropriated once those projects are ready to actually happen. So we have plenty of projects planned in the future that will be able to accommodate a lot of the new housing that's coming in.
About 2 years, good for the estimated kind of.
You know, most of these housing projects that are coming up, they're going to take at least about a year or so just to build. So I think so. As a matter of fact, this is sort of a discussion that we had before when we spoke with actual engineers. They calculate these things to make sure that they're going to be on target and that they can take the capacity and everything like that. So
For water.
I think
Not children. That's a whole different thing.
Well,
as a teacher, I can talk
and
about
as
when
we
you live
grow,
here.
I hope we do need another school. I'm
yeah.
from Pataskala, and we built a new school out there. And before the new school was built, they had to build another one. The new school that they built, it wasn't even the mortar wasn't hardly dry, and they had to build another one. So I hope that we do experience exponential growth because people love to move to London.
Yep, because I mean, yeah, once again, 2 years, maybe 3 years, we'd be meeting about their 10-year growth expectations.
And that's still a slow
So-
process.
Hopefully, yep, we're starting to see new things, but either way,
But it's not going to be overnight.
another levy
so-
possibly coming up.
Thank you. Next, we have Scott. Okay, no problem. All right, so we are on to our committee reports. We'll start with Mr. Stahl.
I don't have anything tonight, but we have a finance meeting on Monday at
Okay.
6 o'clock, and we have the safety committee meets on Tuesday at 5,
All right, thank you, Mr.
next week.
Next week, okay.
Yeah, I have nothing new.
All right, Mr. Hayes.
I'm going to give them minutes from the September 21st Board of Public Utilities meeting. August minutes were approved. Under the Water Department, there's a meter on Center Street that is not traveling. It offered to send the meter off for testing. Also, approximately $200 fee for the testing. Mr. Long stated that there's more than one person living at this residence. A recycled tank is on schedule for October for repair. While I was talking about that, there was a high water bill that a citizen was very concerned about, and there's evidently there's two people that are feeding off the same line, so that's what that's all about right there. Wastewater report was reviewed, sanitation department was reviewed, had a private citizen who would like to volunteer with the sanitation department. He was suggested by Mr. Vest that the citizen contact the city law director for clarification on that. Under other city concerns, 32 East Lincoln Avenue, issue with the storm sewer. Storm sewer does not fall under the BPU. And then there was another citizen's concern, why did the board adjust the LOCI sewer bill and not willing to adjust citizens' bill? It was answered, residents' bills that were not adjusted were due to water leak going into the sewer. Some customers are receiving bills for $14 for trash in a recycle bin. Why is the trash truck taking the recycle? Mr. Guyman, I answered, trash in a recycle can is treated as such and will go into the trash truck. What they're talking about there, people are throwing their trash into the recycle, and then have to pick that out. And so if you're throwing your trash in the recycle, stop, throw your trash in the trash, and recycle in the recycle. Keep it separate. Another citizen's concern is how are we coming on the cellular meters that were being installed? Mr. Long, there's been a slight delay because of the Omni fiber requiring locates within the city. There was a motion for executive session by Mr. Vest. Went into executive session. It come out of executive session. Mr. Vest made a motion to run an ad for wastewater assistant operator. Mr. Lalonic seconded the motion. The motion was carried. Mr. Lalonic motioned to approve sick leave donation. Mr. Vest seconded the motion. Motion was carried. Mr. Lalonic motioned to accept Sam Mills' resignation effective September 23rd, 2023. Mr. Vest seconded the motion. Motion was carried. Motion to accept Todd Messenger's resignation effective October 2nd, 2023. That was seconded and the motion was carried. The motion to adjourn was at 5:55 and the meeting was adjourned at that time.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
what was the purpose of the executive session? Was that stated?
It was about these people that are leaving, and it was also about personnel.
Thank you.
Is that all you have?
That's all I
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Robbins?
I attended the Public Service Committee meeting last night. I'll go over the Park and Recs report. The repairs to the racing pool expansion joints were completed. That's all he had to do on the swimming pool. On the parks, vandalism is up at both parks. The LPD is working to identify individuals. It's also working well with the officer that is at the schools because he is able to identify the individuals that are in the tapes. So those individuals aren't really getting away with it as they are expected. They're looking down at Cowling Park to put 2 pickleball courts. They have had a couple quotes come in. They're looking to have 1 or 2 more in before presenting. They are going to set up the gazebo at Cowling Park for trick or treat night. They're going to have a bag drop and all that. Merrimack, the Merrimack Miracles were donated a Gaga pit from St. Patrick's Schools. The dog park, there was new clamps attached to the drinking fountain to alleviate the ponding issues. The programs that he has going, Fall Volleyball League is their last day is October 8th. Tournaments will start on October 9th, and the championship will be on October 11th. Winter basketball registrations are up for K through 6. You can go to the website, londonohio.gov/youth-basketball-league. Practice will start November 13th. Evaluation will be November 6th. The next public service meeting will be November 1st at 6 p.m.
All right, thank you. Mr. Eads?
Before I get into the street department part of this, quick correction for Mr. Saul, so you don't show up at the wrong night. We do not have a meeting on October the 9th, which is Monday. That is either Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples' Day. So that meeting, it looks like all of the meetings that would have been scheduled at that point have been moved to the 10th. So Tuesday, the 10th. That'll be the correct time for the finance meeting. Public safety, you guys are going at 5 o'clock, and Historic Review Board, if they meet, that's at 4 o'clock. That's all on Tuesday. Just so we put that out there so people know it. So I did attend the service committee meeting last night. I do have some information from the street department. We had a pretty long discussion about different things in the street department last night. We're going to have some things that are going to come up here at council very shortly, but I'll try to give you a couple updates about some things. Along with working their normal jobs around town, they've done quite a bit of that. Run the street sweeper, did some mowing, replaced some signage, worked on manhole covers and things like that. The things that came up that we're going to have to be concerned with in the future is Mr. Long asked for an increase in the strength ordinance. He's asking for 3 more employees. The fact is, they're down 2 employees right now. They have interviewed for some people, but they're asking for an increase of 3 after that. Mr. Castle is he recommends the 3 people because of the amount of jobs the street department does. It's not just the street, it's also taking care of the parks. It's also taking care of this building and other buildings. So they're really not just the street, they're also a maintenance and mowing crew. So they are going to ask for that. It'll be up to council whether or not we approve 3 employees on the strength ordinance coming up. One of the salt barns collapsed out at the street department facility. Salt barn collapsed, and it was not insured, or there will be no coverage for that. It was stated last night that was due to the age of the structure and also what was kept in there. So we are going to be looking at replacing a structure there so they can store salt. They have worked out an agreement with the county sheriff to use the old salt barn there for this season only. See that there was a question, is that true?
I think you said that the barn wasn't insured.
It was
It
insured,
wasn't,
but it was too old.
but it wasn't covered, it's not being covered.
Yeah, I apologize. That's what you said. The claim was denied. The claim was denied. But it was insured. Sorry.
Very good. So he does have some ideas about the salt barn, what he would like to see going in there. It'll have to come to council so that we can put that out to bid. We actually moved last night to go ahead and start that process. It's not on tonight's agenda, but instead of waiting for a month to go back to that committee, it should show up at the next council meeting so that we can at least start the bid process and not delay that anymore, just so we can get out there. He also wants to change ordinance. It turns out it was 1228, which is how roadways are constructed. Our ordinances are outdated on some of that language. They want to change that so that it would mirror what ODOT does. We also made a motion to take that to council moving forward. We did ask about their trucks. They currently have 4 trucks and 2 pickups. They've got 2 trucks that they've ordered. They're here. They don't have beds. We can't use them. Who knows when we're going to get them? But they're in Ohio. They just need to be finished so they can be brought here. There was a note that I asked about also. They mentioned running the camera on Elm Street. They did find an area on Elm Street that had tree roots in it. They did auger that out. They're going to treat that for tree roots in the future. Mr. Long felt that that was a newer problem in that area, but they were on top of it. So that's what I have for the street department. Anything to add to that, Mr. Robinson?
No, I think you pretty much covered.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. On to our city official reports.
Tuesday, the Board of Zoning Appeals met and heard 3 different cases. The first was a variance to the required setback on the corner of Riley Avenue and South Walnut Street. This application had already been passed through the process, but if you don't act on it within a year, it expires. So they came back and reapplied for that. This application was approved, and the property owner will now start building a house on that lot. The second application was for the residence on Quincy Circle, which is in the new London Landing development. This variance was for encroachment on the rear setback. The owners want to build a deck, but it exceeded their rear setback by 3 feet. So their property actually butts up to the retention pond, so there's really no one behind them, or another house cannot be built behind them. So the board approved that application also. The final was, application was for conditional use permit for 2 parcels on Kenny Boulevard, and that's behind Merchants Bank and the strip mall out there next to Merchants Bank. The developer will be bringing in 22 double-unit condominiums, 44 total residencies, and that application was approved. You know, a lot of talk about housing today, but, you know, I think Henry said it very well that, you know, we need to continue to grow, and the more people we bring in, the more money we're able to get into our general fund. And like he said, people want to be here. So, you know, housing is continuing to prosper in the city of London. Besides those 44 units of that legislation, you know, we have the planned unit development, the PUD, in front of you guys tonight, and that's a 26.5 acre area located on Kenny Boulevard, around and behind the current apartment complexes. The plan consists of apartments for rent and townhomes for sale. The plan, in conjunction with this other, the one that they passed last night at BZA, the 22 double-unit condominiums, it's going to bring about 422 doors to the community. The developer's plan for the 66-home second phase of London Landing, which you guys already approved, has made its way through our engineering firm, is now back in the hands of the developers team. I would assume they will be looking to start construction on that infrastructure soon. The 61-home first phase of London Landing is moving right along. Mr. Robinson can contest to that. There's a lot of houses built back there, and people are already starting to move in. I would assume 5 to 7 are
I've seen
occupied.
lights on already.
I'd say 5 to 7 are occupied, you think, Brian, right
I
around?
think it's even more than that.
More now?
I drove around the other day, and there's probably, I would guess, around 10.
10, yeah. So they're already occupying those homes back there. Just spoke with the Pulte Group about their infill housing development between State Route 42 Lafayette Street and State Route 142 High Street for their homes. They are currently working on some site and engineering items and firming up their lot cost. The next step will be to get their final engineering plans submitted to the City of London. And Westwood Collective, they continue to do great things in our downtown area, which is also including housing. The buildings they are currently renovating will have apartments on the top level of those. They also started work on the old hotel, if you guys have seen that. So they'll be converting that property into a 12-unit apartment building with 2 storefronts on the bottom. So a lot of great things going on around the city. I can remember when I became mayor, I used to call developers and just to try to get them to take a look at us. That's when I came in, the year before, we had 1 new housing permit the year before I came in. So I would just call and just try to get on people's radar. And now it's become a thing where people want to come here to develop, renovate, and live. So this gives us a great advantage where we can make sure that we're bringing in the right things, which I think is what we're doing. We're bringing in the right projects, the right partners to come in and help build London, and make it a even better, vibrant, and community. You know, with other great things going on in downtown London, I was able to attend the ribbon cuttings for Sammy Faye's. They're open. Polish Loft on Main, that used to be, or I'm sorry, Polished on Main, which used to be the Polish Loft. They've moved, and then even had a event at London 101. These are all small businesses in our beautiful historic downtown. So, you know, go down there, walk around, check out all the great stuff that's going on in downtown London. Pop in the shops and shop local. A lot of wonderful things going on down there. And London 101, they'll be having their ribbon cutting coming up real soon, and I believe they're going to open within about 10 days. So this past Thursday, myself, along with others, including Councilman Eads and Council President Comer, was able to have lunch with our state representative, Brian Stewart. came in to talk about the things that he's been doing in the district and what's going on and what's on the horizon. We're also able to speak to him about our communities, the great things going on, and also the areas that we need help. So great luncheon. I want to thank Representative Stewart for his time and being so present in our communities. He's out here a lot. He's doing a lot of things out here. He's not just one of those guys hanging out in Columbus. Just a reminder that early voting does start on the 11th for the November 7th general election, so I do encourage all citizens to get out and have their voices heard at the polls. Fun fact will be number 2,147. So that is the total number of dry and canned goods the City of London collected last year in the Be the Change countywide food drive, and that was donated here in London to the Help House and the Madison County Food Pantry. As I spoke about last week, the Mayor's Committee will once again be having our food drive competition. So all 4 major communities, London, West Jefferson, Plain City, and Mount Sterling, will be holding a can and dry food drive from Monday, October 16th to Friday, October 20th. That's in conjunction with World Food Day. So the community that collects the most items will have the bragging rights, but you'll be able to donate items here at City Hall that week from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The food collected will stay in the community that it's dropped off in and given to the local food pantries. And last thing, just speaking of mayors, I do want to thank Mayor Carney of Plain City for being such a great sport and our friendly bet this past week at the varsity football game. Got the picture last night that she did wear that beautiful red and white London Red Raider t-shirt to their city council or their village council meeting. But on that note, I want to congratulate both teams on a entertaining and heart-pounding game if you guys were there. It was fun to watch, and both teams played extremely well on offense. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. On to our old business, third reading, Resolution 20123, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 201-23, sponsored by Brian Robinson, a resolution requesting construction loan financing from the Ohio Water Development Authority for the City of London sludge press project by the City of London, Madison County, Ohio, and declare an emergency.
So this is a sludge press that we agreed upon purchasing last year. So this just gives them the authority to go out and approve funding for the loan. Correct. Any questions?
Mr. President?
Yes.
So at the last meeting, I handed everybody some documents that I'd come up with, little research, trying to remember how things had worked in the past, and the fact that it was stated by Mr. Duncan that we were going to use the 660, or he wanted to use the 665 fund, which was the sewer capacity fund for the majority of that money. I gave that to everyone. I did give a copy to Mr. Castle after the meeting. He's done some research. I'd like to share that. I understand everybody's got an email, but this is for public purposes, so that they understand this also. I'll break it down just a little bit. He has found that we were not allowed to use the 665 fund last year that we had approved. I'm not sure how it got through all the layers that it did, that we approved that to use that fund. However, it's been stated, or he did research, the 665 fund can only be used for the payment, the cost of construction, of improvements or additions to the sanitary sewer system, including but not limited to treatment plants and sanitary sewer line extensions. The fund shall not be used for the ordinary repair and maintenance of the existing sanitary sewer lines. This was, according to Mr. Castle, reviewed as a repair of equipment. Therefore, we cannot use the 665 fund, which has over $1,100,000 in it. However, this would have to be paid for out of the regular sanitary sewer fund. And if you'll recall, that fund, which had $1.5 million in it last year, now has, or at least the last numbers I've seen, roughly $900,000 in it. So we cannot use those funds as was originally thought. If we would have done that, it would have had to been reversed. We would have had to find a way to pay for it anyway at this point. I think it begs the question, how did that happen to begin with? How did we not have that information? Where would we be today? And I also ask how they intend to spend the $1.1 million that's in there. Mr. Castle's thoughts were they would use that to supplement the debt service payments for the Northeast Trunk Line, which is new, and that would qualify for those funds. However, I do submit that we still have $900,000 in that account. They had stated they may not need the whole loan for $639,000. At this point, it was pointed out that the fees that we got from the prison had went down because there was less prisoners out there, but they thought that was going to come up. And we have a rate increase that we put in place. So I personally think that we should just go ahead and pay for this and not take a loan. But that's just my opinion.
All right, Rex, do you have anything
Yeah.
to add to that?
Mr. Duncan's been to the auditor's office with other repairs at the sewer plant that are in need of being done, not this substantial. But I would hate to take all the funds out of their operating fund and not be able to do repairs that are necessary to keep the plant operating properly. If we do borrow that and we have excess funds, we can pay the loan down, or we don't have to take the whole amount. But I think we're doing our due diligence to have that loan available to use, as opposed to having the fund depleted such that we can't do repairs on an ongoing basis. One of the boilers is completely out. The Ohio, what's the organization that inspects our boilers? I can't think of it, but they come and inspected it. They said, this is a faulty boiler. You got to get it repaired or replaced. And there was some kind of a pump that's out, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, it's like $30,000 or $40,000 for these. And there's other repairs that he didn't really share with me, but there's like 4 or 5 other repairs that he's identified that needs to be worked on in the near future. And he's probably going to have to come and ask for an increased appropriations, which means he's going to spend his fund down, because he's just about extinguished his budget line for this year with the things that he's done so far this year with sewer line repairs and so forth. So we've had some things that needs to be repaired. We have to spend those monies, and I don't want to get ourselves short to where we can't. We got to keep our sewer plant operating, so we don't want our fund that to get too low.
All right. And you said there's how much in there, 900,000?
Yeah.
There was at the end of August.
So
It was still-
900,000 and looking at 800,000 and leave about 100-some thousand, then they'd have to ask for more money
No,
anyway.
we need 639.
Oh, 639?
639 was
100,000?
the last number that we had.
2/3 of the fund.
Yeah, that's gonna take,
But, Mr. Castle, can you speak to, or do you have any idea how we went down $600,000 this year? Because if they had anything that was over $50,000, they would have had to come to us and ask for that. Is that correct?
The auditor and I researched that and looked at it. It's a combination of a shortfall in revenues, not a large one like we had anticipated there was going to be. It's a shortfall on revenues. It's money that was paid out of encumbrances from the prior year that doesn't show up on your reports, which caused the fund to deplete, and then increased expenses for repairs that we've had to pay this year. So, we were kind of.
And there was also, so if you remember, sludge removal.
so I guess you're done, Rex.
Well, I just wanted to add this one last thing, because he was done talking about the amount. So sludge removal, we used to have a farmer that would come take all the sludge from us. Well, they no longer do that, so now we spent 75 to 100 grand on sludge removal, which is a big chunk. And I believe that's for about 2 years of sludge.
Well, I just want to add the money in there for you.
But is there a likely interest rate that we would get on this type of loan?
Yeah, what is the interest rate we look at?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I mean, it's below market rate because it's through the Ohio EPA, but I don't know what it is. I'm thinking
It wouldn't be
I
a-
don't know, I don't wanna say.
It wouldn't be
really don't say.
like a zero interest loan?
No,
or-
it's not a zero interest loan. The OWDA loan that we've got is zero interest. So,
Is there any way to find out what rate that would be at? Is it somewhere?
tonight,
Well, I don't
yeah,
know
I
if you
can,
have
I
an
can get it
email or
for you.
something that-
I can tell you, I can probably go back and look and tell you the most recent, the loans that you just approved to apply for the Main Street. I can probably look at those.
They would probably be pretty similar to those.
Yeah. it's
Just
all-
because
it's
I
all
know
through-
rates keep
it's all
going
through-
up.
It's all through the Ohio EPA. so
Yeah, because I know rates keep going up, and they go up another 0.25%. They've gone up like 11 times or something and past.
Yeah. I'm sure those go up, but they're not going to go up like
Like
the consumer loans go up,
Yeah.
yes.
Any other questions on this? Greg, do you have an idea what the rate was on this? Was that discussed at all before?
I don't remember if Mr. Lalonick mentioned that or not.
Well, Rex is gonna look up the,
I'm going to look, I'm using my
I do
phone, so
know-
it takes a little longer.
I do know when Mr. Lalonick came to the service committee about this originally, he did say that rules did not need to be suspended, nor did we, it could go 3 readings
Right.
or longer. It just needed to be done by the end of the year. Which also brings the question, if we appropriate money and it's not encumbered correctly, we're doing this again next year, if I'm not mistaken. And so it has to be encumbered. So I don't know that you have to make a decision on this tonight, but it is the 3rd reading.
and one thing, like I just mentioned, whatever the rates are, and he said they're probably below the regular market rates. Now, these rates are affected just like everything else, right? They go up just like all the others. So I would say the longer we wait to encumber this money and decide to do this, the more it's going to cost us in the long run too. So, I think we've gone over this 3 times already, and we know that it's something that we need to do, and we definitely don't want to deplete our funds in order to get this done, because there's so many other projects that need done as well. So I think we should go ahead with the reading on this if someone has a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, you have a first and a second for adoption. Clerk, could you please take the roll call?
Councilman Eads?
No,
Did you say no?
no.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Hitt?
Yes.
Councilman Stahl?
Yes.
Thank you. On for our second reading, ordinance 21223, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance 212-23, sponsored by Andrew Hitt, an ordinance vacating an alley.
This is the alley that runs behind 109 Canterbury Drive. All the signatures on the petition are all in, as far as water department, waste sewer department, Ohio Edison, and sanitation. They had no objections to vacating that alley. The street department wanted to retain easement rights to service storm sewer infrastructure if they need to.
Any questions on this? And this is,
November 6th,
okay, yeah, I was gonna say.
Second.
Public hearing on this.
public hearing.
Second.
November 2nd?
Yeah.
November 2nd, I'm sorry, my fault.
All right. One to ordinance 21223, a motion to read by title or number, or no, 21323.
Make a motion to read by title and number.
Second.
All right, clerk, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance 213-23, sponsored by Andrew Hitt, an ordinance vacating an alley.
So this is an alley between 211 and 213 Toland. Also, this one, the petition has all been signed by abutting property owners. And the street department, sanitation and sewer had no objections to vacating that alley, and the water department wanted to retain easement rights for that area.
Okay. Anything further on ordinance 21323? And that's also scheduled for a public hearing on November 2nd. Correct? All right. On to ordinance 21423, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance 214-23, sponsored by Henry Comer, an ordinance amending official zoning map.
Okay, this is another request to change the zoning map to a PUD, and this is another example of growth within our city. This is 389 units. There's a combination of single-family homes and townhouses, and we do have a representative here if you'd like to interject a little and kind of explain the project to everyone.
My name's Scott McClintock. I'm the owner's representative for the developer. So we have, as you noted, 389 units laid out within the area that is predominantly behind existing apartments off Kenny Road. I think when you introduced it, you said single family. There's no single family in this. There is two sections that are apartments, and then there's townhouse units. So there's 80 townhouse units, and the remainder would be apartment units that marry up behind the existing apartments and behind the commercial off of
Okay.
Route 42.
All right. Let's see here, and yeah, and that's on Kenny down there. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at that map?
11/16 for public hearing.
Yeah, that is, public hearing for that is scheduled for November the 16th. So there will be notices going out for that public hearing. All right.
Mr. McClintock?
Yes, any questions for Mr.?
Well, last night, so this came up at the Service Committee, which really, I don't think should have been the right committee, but that's okay. It came up, we got to see the map. One of our council members who's not here tonight, he brought up a point that I know that this will go through the right channels. I just want to let you know that there was at least a concern that with the amount of traffic in and out of there, plus the amount of traffic on Kenny Boulevard, that he personally would like to see or see us ask for turn lanes to be put in by cutting out part of your land, your frontage, and put turn lanes in there just to allow people in and out of that property a little easier off Kenny. I don't know if you have any interest in that. I'm sure it'll come through the official steps that it's supposed to later. I'm just giving you that heads up. And then I had a question last night that I'll ask you. So these things that are marked as road A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, or however many of those are really going to be private lanes.
That's correct.
Okay, so
That's
those,
correct.
just a very long lane that comes off Kenny, goes beside the first set back to the main of the departments in the back, and then the other side has its own lane to go into those townhouses.
That's correct. All the roadway network within the apartments and the townhouse will all be private roadway systems. They will be interlocked and shared access for everybody's complete use and health and safety use.
But it looked like the Section A, the section farthest away from Lafayette Street, that was on its own, right? Just one entrance in and out?
The townhouse, yes.
Yeah, the townhouses.
Right now, we have that way, and then we have interconnecting pedestrian trails going between the developments, trying to link them in that nature.
But there won't be a roadway there, correct?
There's not intended to be
Okay.
a full access roadway. If there's a need, once we go through with the fire department or emergency access, if they want to have a secondary road, we would probably utilize that pedestrian path to allow a bollard roadway so that it could be used for pedestrian path, but not daily traffic.
Okay.
So for emergency vehicles and things of that nature.
It also looks like you're going to create another roadway to come out on Lafayette Street.
Yeah, on Lafayette Street, we control the commercial product there, and what our intention was to also utilize that as a additional access.
Which would also be a private road and not something the city has to maintain.
That's correct.
Okay. As we're all looking at the maps that maybe they didn't get to see all of that before.
I had a question for Rex. Wasn't Kenny wide enough that it's supposed to be 2 lanes in the middle lane? Can it? It's just not marked that way, 'cause it wasn't needed before.
No, Kenny's marked that way.
Is Kenny? Is that side is?
Rex last night, or probably Mr. Castle last night, it came up, this has nothing to do with you. It came up about the houses that are on Kenny themselves. Now, that's not a yellow curb. I mean, people can actually park on Kenny, is that right? No? So then it should be a yellow curb just to, okay, I don't know that I've noticed those.
I would say 8, 9 years ago, they changed it.
Okay.
All right. Anything further? All right, thank you.
If you have any additional questions, feel free to.
Do you have a question, Mr. Norman? If you use the microphone, please.
Is there, in the plan so far, are we far enough, has there been any plans to do any kind of tax abatement on this development? Or is it,
I don't think that they're requesting any tax abatement similar to some of the other housing developments that have come in. They're not asking.
I just wondered, because I didn't hear anything about it.
No, that was asked last night, and Mr. Castle said there were no requests for tax abatements on that property.
Right, so, all right. All right, thank you all. Again, that's scheduled for public hearing November 16th. On to our roundtable. We'll begin with Mr. Robinson.
Well, I don't have a whole lot. Sorry I missed last week. Thanks for everybody for the well wishes for my exciting weekend last weekend. Thanks for Pat, Josh, and a couple of the other buddies that really made it a special weekend. That's about all I have.
All right, Mr. Hayes.
Safety meeting will be next Tuesday, the 10th at 5 PM in here. I called that game the other night, helped call it. Probably one of the greatest high school games I've ever seen. It was wild, but I had faith that we was going to win it. I think that young man from Jonathan Alder had over 400 and some yards, if memory serves me correctly.
357.
Maybe 357, 7 touchdowns, if I recall. And our running backs had over 300 yards too, but like the mayor said, a very good game, and my hats are off to both teams. They played their hearts out, and I know those kids were tired when they got done. I know I was. But great game, great game.
I think they set a record, actually. It was the first time I think we've ever had 3 100-yard rushers in
One game.
one game.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'd be interested to check out some of the records. So I'm sure some fell.
Zach Jones had like 255 touchdowns.
Yeah. It's just like he'd score, they'd run one back. We score, they'd run one back. It was just all night long. It was. It was great. It was great.
With pads.
I want to thank all the city employees for jobs well done. They go above and beyond some days. I know Bill Long just like lives here. He does a great job. I have to call on different ones at times, ask about things, and they've always got answers for me. I just want to thank, we got some good people work for this city. I'm just, my hat's off to them. Can't talk about the fire levy. So outside that, I don't think I've got anything. Just ask the Lord to bless our city, bless our people here, watch over us, keep us safe and well. In Jesus' name.
Mr. Eads.
You say Mr. Eads?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
bouncing around.
Okay.
Keep you on your toes.
Now I've got notes. I've got notes and I've got questions to ask. So I'd like to ask them for some updates. Maybe Mr. Hayes can help out on 1 or 2 of these and the administration. The first thing I thought of, where are we at with the website design and mobile app that we approved in June 1st?
the administrative assistant to the administration. I don't have enough experience in that, so it's on hold right now until I get a new administrative assistant.
So what was the delay from June 1st? I mean, you don't have an administrative assistant now, but we had 3 months.
Okay, yes, so there was, after it got passed, there was talks of maybe possibly using the police app and like piggybacking off that, and then using a website through what the Board of Public Utilities, what their software is. So there was a lot of internal discussions, not just between the administration, but through a lot of people within City Hall. And so we were kind of going back and forth, and then the whole thing happened with our executive assistant leaving, and now we're waiting to hire our new executive assistant, because whoever that is probably going to have to do a lot of that. So we want to make sure that they're comfortable with whatever decision we make. Personally, I am still leaning towards Aptigee, which is the initial company we talked about, where we'll get our own app and website.
Right, and that's who we basically approved those funds for, because that was the
Right.
bid of $14,220.
Right, and if it- Exactly, and if anything is to change, we'll bring that back to you.
Okay, thank you for the update.
Yep.
Next, update, water plant.
So-
Mr. Hayes, do you have anything on that as the representative, or the administration does?
So we are working close with Mid-Ohio. They're helping us out on that also. So we believe we have a solution. The company that the product that we use in there that is all the machinery is a company called Wigen, W-I-G-E-N. We've come to the conclusion that when this thing was built, it never was really started up. So they knew that the ammonia was there, and then we started working to try to get the ammonia out. So we are now working with Wigan to get them to come out, do a complete startup, get the whole thing running, and then do our final test on what we think will fix the problem, and then be able to use the funding, right? The funding from the increases to fix the problem. So we have a Teams meeting set up, or a Teams meeting that is going to get set up, I think, for next week. I can't remember, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I can't remember off the top of my head. With Wigan, to get them out here, tell them what's going on, and then get them out here to do the setup. And then there's also a lot of electronics. Yeah, calibration. That's what we need to work on, is the calibration. And it is a very intense computer system that needs to be calibrated. So we've got to get Wigan out here. That's the next step.
Has the production well been dug?
Yes.
So we have the well in place to get the water, now we just have to finalize that to get it treated properly.
Yes.
Okay. Next, any word on the police station funding since we've last met?
What is it? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what that
The
was.
police station funding?
We still have not received final notification, so we're still waiting on that. Glenn is keeping in touch with people from Mike Carey's office, but I don't believe that goes to the feds until, is it October or November? So this month or next month to be finalized.
I'm thinking it's November, if memory serves
November,
me correctly.
yeah, could be.
Okay, so we're on hold for that. And then the last thing, mostly for council members, I brought up at the last meeting, I think that we need an office area for council members to use. I know they have a somewhat unused office across the hallway. I don't know if there's any thoughts that council can take that as a workspace for council members or not. I know I was told that the Board of Public Utilities currently uses that to meet with people if necessary, but they have a whole office they can use, and we have nothing. So I don't know if any council members had any thoughts about trying to use that, or if the administration has any thoughts about allowing us to use that space.
Only thing that I can say is that office is used for private meetings team meetings with the field people, and the office manager felt it would be very disruptive with the people coming in, doing businesses, and them trying to conduct a meeting all in one room. That's why they have the other room, and she really doesn't want to give it up. So was her reply on that. So, I mean,
Is there any other options for us?
well, we've got this nice conference
Conference
room here
room.
that can always be used. It's all, all you have to do is call and tell us that you want to use it. We can schedule your time in there. We can set up a.
Well, one of the things that I think is that council needs to have a room they can use anytime they want. They don't have to schedule a time. It's like, it may be something that comes up. You may get a text message and, a state rep might want to meet with you that day, So I think that if council has their own space in city council, it should be at council's disposal to use whenever they want. And I think if BPU already has their own space, then there's no reason why they should have two spaces in city council, which is the legislative branch of the city, the highest form of government in the city, should have their own space. Because if you haven't noticed, city council is the highest form of government in the city.
So
So-
I don't think we're going to get this figured out in the middle of a council meeting.
No, we're not, but I think we can
Oh,
discuss
well-
it in a council meeting.
No,
I
I
completely.
just wanted to bring it
No,
up because I brought
completely
it up
agree.
last meeting.
And I'm glad you did, because we don't want this to fall through the cracks.
No,
It
I just-
doesn't, so-
I didn't know if council members had thought about that and considered it, and then you guys. That's just why I brought it up.
So what I would suggest is if you want to set up a meeting, if you got some time, and come in, and we'll bring Jennifer in, and we'll bring Carol in, and we'll have a meeting, and we'll discuss this and get it figured out.
Okay?
Thank you.
Now, I know there's room back behind this wall too. What is that used for?
Well,
during the day?
true. I mean, that's the what used to be, this used to be all the
Yeah, that's
multi-purpose room.
a huge this is a huge space, our chambers, how about that?
Yeah. And then there's space back there,
This is
too.
our space, that's our space back there, so.
I don't think there's any other, there's no unused space right now.
Upstairs, but then you don't want to do that because there's no ADA accessibility to the
Yeah, so I'd
upstairs.
say,
Yeah.
between our area here where we hold our meetings and the space right behind there, we have tables, we have chairs, there's a side door there. I think we would just need, more access than just, 6 o'clock for those.
Well, I also think if we have a room that has a locked door,
Yeah.
if we leave our laptops
Laptops
there
or something.
or computers, I mean, that's part of that, or we have a space that our mail goes to, there's that, and if the clerk needs to come do some work and print things out and access the Wi-Fi to get stuff, it gives her a space that she can use. I mean, I think there's.
With printers and things like
Oh,
that?
well,
Yeah, I mean, is
Like
that,
some
do you
other
guys,
departments have?
do you guys want a
Well-
copy machine? Like, those are things that, we can discuss if you guys want a copy machine, like, what exactly you guys would like, and then let's just sit down and figure it out.
And I think all of us can be a part of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna benefit everyone, so.
I'm
thank you.
okay.
Let's see here, you're okay? All right, well, Mr. Hitt?
Or round table?
Yeah.
I have nothing.
Yeah, we're still on round table. We're still there. We have not left yet.
It's kind of a star table.
As we talk about football, 7th and 8th grade are off at Jonathan Alder tonight, and 8th graders ahead 16-0 at halftime, so hopefully they make it a
60 or
complete
16?
sweep. And also, I just want to mention about, the mayor was talking about downtown, Westwood's doing a wonderful job.
yeah.
They had the whole roof off the hotel the other day, you could see through, and it's wood now, and they're putting stuff on it, but. I don't know. Some of the people told me that he's not one that does it partial, he goes all the whole way and does it right. And that roof was ready to cave in, and the one where the old Opera House was, they had to put a new roof on there, the beams was getting in, that was all, was holding it up, it was ready to fall. So we'd have had a lot of empty spaces downtown in a couple of years. And the old hotel used to be called the Grand Central Hotel. If you see some old pictures, look it up, one of the things, it's fascinating, the history of it. They used to have carriage rides from the train station over to that and around town. It's just fascinating. A lot of good things happen, people painting and cleaning. I've never seen so much activity downtown in all my life.
Did you enjoy those carriage rides?
Huh?
Did you enjoy the carriage rides back then?
I can hear you.
Did you enjoy the carriage rides?
Yeah.
It's a
Did you
joke,
enjoy
John,
the
I'm
carrot
sorry.
rides back then? Back before cars?
And, and as far as council itself, I think we've passed more and done more this year than I can ever remember in 1 year as happening. It seems like we're really on board. We've passed things, and it takes time once we pass it, like they say, to get it done. But by another year or so, it's really gonna be fabulous, all the stuff's gonna happen with what we've done this year. So we ought to be proud of ourselves. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, and I do agree with that. There's a lot of things that we have done in this council now that you may not even see for a few years. But it would be, some of the things that happened here that were the catalyst for a lot of the growth that is gonna happen in the future. Because, especially when it comes to the really big projects, oftentimes developers don't wanna be the first person in. They, after it started, maybe they'll get going. We were fortunate here to have, a couple of large names in the city that actually wanted to invest quite a large sum of money in housing and restaurants and all types of things in our area, which spurred other growth to come. They said, hey, they're doing it, so, let's go check it out too. And now I think it is a snowball that is moving very, very fast. And
Contagious.
I definitely want to, thank all of you council here, because, like Mr. Stahl said, I think we have gotten a lot of things done here that were, skipped in the past or, walked around in the past, but we've stopped kicking the can down the road, and we've gotten a lot of things done. And for the city council president fun fact for tonight, the number 5. It's the number 5. And the number 5
I was gonna bring it up.
is the amount of meetings that we have left in this year with me as president. So we got the
And
number
Brian.
5. Yeah, so, but like I said, we've gotten a lot of things done, and I'm proud to see the way, the direction that the city is going in as a result of that. So with that, I will entertain
President Comer, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to be advised that the first 30 minutes of this was not live. I'm hoping it recorded. It started and I went to a big screen and it stopped and then I went down, so.
Okay. And I think, so,
All right.
I don't know,
YouTube
maybe
hates
want to
me.
look at some different ways to record or, live stream, maybe a different type of, because I know we have some issues with streaming, but it's YouTube, right? So, I don't know, maybe we need equipment upgrades or something. Maybe the equipment's kind of
It could be
dated.
me, you just need a clerk.
Or operator error.
Yeah, it's operator error. So, yeah, just be advised, I won't know
Okay.
until it downloads.
Okay.
It recorded everything.
All right. Well, thanks for letting us know, and keep an eye out for that. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
I just literally was gonna say it, but I was like,
Yeah, you guys only got 5 left, don't you? I remember you said one night was 10.
Yeah, 5.
Wow.
I screwed up.
And
I
that's out of
counted-
6
I counted
years.
my months wrong,
Yeah.
so I've been
That's
at
out of
6
6 years.
for a
I was
while.
councilman for 2 years. And then president for, down to 5